Hey guys, I'll have another cover posted up in a few days, but I mentioned in a previous video that I traded my LH500 in on an LH1000, and I just thought I'd do a quick review of the LH1000 as well. Um, there's a few differences on the LH1000 from the LH500, and we'll cover them all. Start with the back panel here first. Power input. And here's your effects loop, main cooling fan, and one of the major differences on the LH1000 is the speaker cap inputs. There's essentially two power cores in here, a 500 watt power core on each side, left and right, and there's four speaker cabinet inputs, two for each side, left and right. In theory, you could run four cabinets off the LH1000, and I did double check the paperwork, and it is rated all the way down to 2 ohms, but in actuality I wouldn't recommend that. Just wouldn't want to push the head or operate the head with that much of a load on it. It'd be better just to go with two cabinets on each side, or sorry, one on each side. And in the middle here is a speak-on output for the bridge mode. And essentially what the bridge mode does, it bridges both 500 watt power cores together, sending 750 watts, if I'm not mistaken, out to a single cabinet. And to do that, there's a little switch down here. All you do is switch it over to bridge mode, and switch it back to parallel mode if you want to use the regular speaker cabinet connections. Two cooling vents instead of one. One for each power core, 500 watt power core. And that's pretty much it for the back panel. Turn it back around. And there's another added feature on the front panel here. We'll get to that in a minute. I have my instrument cable going into the passive input. Even with my active basses, I still go through the passive input. I just like the added extra sound I get through the passive input. And I run my iPod, because all the, sorry, I forgot to mention, because all the active input is a padded input, which cuts the decibels by a certain amount. It cuts the volume by a certain amount. And I have my iPod going through the active input with an adapter and auxiliary cable. The only way running an active bass through the passive input would be a problem is if it's so loud and there's so much power going through it that it's clipping the speakers or causing feedback or anything. But this thing's so loud already, I don't really need to crank the volume up to the point where it would actually be in danger of causing any damage like that. This thing's plenty loud already on just three. I don't really have to crank it up any more than that. There's a bright switch, pushing into activated. It boosts the brights. And as I mentioned on the LH500 review, what I really love about these amp heads is the 3-band boost cut EQ section. Really simple, easy EQ to use. You roll the knobs back to cut the frequency the desired amount, or roll them forward to boost it. As you can see by my settings, I like a lot of low end on my tone. I have the bass boosted to about 6. I have the mids cut to about in between 3 and 4. And I have a moderate to a high cut on treble to about 2. Just like a lot of low end on my tone. And this is your limiter switch. What the limiter is, it's kind of like a built-in compressor. It protects your speakers from any high voltages or anything like that, and it evens out the notes and sound and stuff. And like with the bright switch, just push it in to activate it. And this is the other added feature on the front panel that I mentioned with the LH1000. It's a balance knob, which balances the power from the left and right power cores. And it's just a way to give you more tonal options. Like you can roll it left to roll it left to boost the power on the left side speaker cabinet, or roll it right to boost the power on the speaker cabinet hooked into the right side. And when you roll it one way or the other, it not only boosts the power to one side or the other, but it kind of takes away from the power on the other side. Like if you want one speaker cab that's hooked in on one side to be like a little lower or softer than the other one. Just a way to expand your tonal options. And here's a direct output. Like if you're doing a live show or live gig, the front of the house guy can just hook into the direct output if there's a front of the house PA guy. And this here is your front cooling tunnel vent. The front cooling tunnel vent with a little sponge filter you clean every so often. Power switch. Handles make it easier to move. This is rack mountable. If I'm not mistaken, it requires 2 rack spaces. LH1000, 1000 watt bass amplifier, Class A valve preamp. And there is a 12AX7 preamp tube in here. Like with all preamp tubes, it's right in the front here close to the inputs. And I think that's about it for the amp head. And I have this amp head going through a Hartke VX410 cab. Awesome cab. I like the paper cones. Just the added warmth the paper cones give me and stuff. Just personal preference though. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I've never used this amp head in bridge mode. I just prefer to use it in parallel mode and hook in the single cab through the regular speaker cab connections on the back on the left hand side power core, which in turn I haven't really experimented with the balance knob either. Just personal preference. And I'm trying to think if I covered everything. I'm sorry if I forgot anything, but if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you to all the subscribers. I really appreciate all the feedback, the views, everything, honestly. And yeah, this has been oh, I almost did forget. I mentioned in that other video also that there's a little bit of a story with this LH1000, like with the Ibanez. And the music store I got this from, this isn't the original LH1000 I got from the store. There was a problem with that LH1000, and it kept losing power and going out. Like, I remember I was trying to do one cover with it, and it just cut out altogether. And I had to turn it off and back on to get it to come back in. But I took it to the music store, and they ordered a... Basically, they have 2 locations, and the location in the next city over is where they do all the repairs and stuff. But the location there had another new LH1000, so they just ordered that one from that store, sent my old one over there to get repaired, and they gave me this one from the other store. And I just attribute that to bad luck, a bad amplifier head, because I've never had a problem or issue with this amp head. It's worked flawlessly. And yep, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate everything. Thank you. Bye-bye.